Who should not do a ketogenic diet? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. My name's Dr. Taranella, and there's four, for me, the way I think about it, there's four kind of different areas or problem sets that may come up if you're thinking about doing a ketogenic diet. So four areas of your health that you want to consider and watch more closely if you're doing a ketogenic diet, have been doing it, or thinking about doing it. So we're going to talk about different labs and things and health parameters that you should be following if you're doing this long term, and even if you're initially starting it. So if you're interested in that, keep watching. We're all about helping you gain a deeper understanding of your health and what's going on with your body. Hopefully this video gets you a little bit closer towards that aim. I also wanted to point out that sometimes when I'm producing this content, I get a statistic wrong or the name of something wrong, and almost always there's a corresponding blog article on our website, SW Integrated Medicine /blog. You can find it there. Those oftentimes go into a little bit more detail than the videos do as well. So please check that out if you're interested. And it does take considerable effort to produce this content. So if you're liking the information, please click on the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you do have questions about any of the content, please ask it in the comment section here or on the blog. That's why I'm producing the information, for you to gain that deeper understanding. So ask the questions if you have them. Hope you enjoy the video. Thank you for watching. Let's get into it. Okay, so I want to talk about who should not do the ketogenic diet, or who should consider more information or try to be more cautious when they're starting or doing ketogenic diet. So there's four kind of categories or health issues that I would enter into this a little more lightly. So first one being high cholesterol, second one being digestive issues, third one being adrenal issues, like specifically issues with like cortisol, and then lastly thyroid. So we're going to dive into each of these in a little more detail, so you have some context on why you should, why you shouldn't, what to look out for. So digestion. So if you have problems with your digestive tract, particularly constipation and low amounts of the good bacteria, good probiotic bacteria, the ketogenic diet may make things worse if you're not paying attention. Now I say this, but it can also make things better too. So let me give you a little more information here. So in the sense that it could make things worse, when you have low amounts of good bacteria, the fiber is mainly what feeds those bacteria. And the bacteria in the large intestine are basically, that's where most of the bacteria should be. And they're feeding off of the leftover fiber that comes through the small intestine and isn't absorbed. So lower carb diets generally are going to have less fiber in them, unless you're particularly, focusing on eating a lot of vegetables. Things like Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, all these things are low in carbs, but also high in fiber. So it's not necessary that you're going to have low fiber if you're doing a ketogenic diet, if you're paying close attention. So the first recommendation, if you're going to do a ketogenic diet and you have low good bacteria, you should be looking at making sure you have plenty of the good fiber sources, good vegetable sources in your diet. I also mentioned that it could actually make your digestion better. And the thing with that is that when you have bacterial overgrowth, sometimes you're getting too much bacteria in your small intestine, which is higher up or before your large intestine. This is known as SIBO, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And even if you have, an excess of bacteria or pathogenic microbes in your large intestine, limiting the amount of carbohydrates or these fiber sources could actually make your symptoms worse. You just want to pay attention to not be doing this long term, because again, the good bacteria in your large intestine, known as your microbiome as a whole, are going to need these fiber sources to thrive and do well over time. So the second thing I wanted to talk about topically is adrenal issues and cortisol. So when you're doing ketogenic diet, at least initially, and to a certain extent on an ongoing basis, you are going through blood sugar, lower blood sugar states off and on. Now, as you initially start doing the ketogenic diet, you're definitely going to be having lower blood sugar. This is probably partially what's responsible for the keto flu. And when that happens, when you're having lower blood sugar state, cortisol will be released from your adrenal glands to increase your blood sugar. What it does is it mobilizes stored glucose called glycogen, and when you have low blood sugar, those stored glucose, those stored glucose called glycogen, get mobilized to keep your blood sugar at a normal rate. If you drop too low, it could be major issue. Your brain, your kidneys, certain parts of your body always need to keep at a certain amount of glucose. Otherwise, can be really detrimental to these organs. So that's one of the main purposes of cortisol, is to mobilize the stored glucose. So if you're having ongoing stress, anxiety, and high cortisol, the ketogenic diet may make this worse. Over time, you probably will. You can actually improve your cortisol because your blood sugar isn't bouncing back and forth all the time as it is when you're eating a lot of simple carbohydrates. But keep that in mind if you have, kind of more fragile cortisol adrenal issues. This may not be the right thing for you to just jump into. You might want to kind of ease into it at first. So the third topic I wanted to talk about why, or who should not do the ketogenic diet, has to do with cholesterol. So there are some cases or subsets of the population that really do not do well with high saturated fat. And this probably doesn't come as a surprise to most of us who've been following, high cholesterol diets, or how you would lower cholesterol is to, lower your saturated fat. And that is still, a reality for many people, and that those are the people that shouldn't be doing the ketogenic diet. Now, in a lot of cases, in today's day and age, there's too much carbohydrates and high sugar and high insulin and high liver enzymes, high triglycerides. This kind of pattern is something that actually would, in those types of people, you're going to see an improvement in their cholesterol 9 times out of 10, and those would be the people that would benefit from this. But if you have fairly stable blood sugars and you have high cholesterol, chances are you're not going to benefit from the ketogenic diet. The thing is, you always just have to test. So just make sure, you're not assuming that, it's a ketogenic diet, it's healthy, everybody says it's great. You just got to check your cholesterol, because if you're just assuming it's going to be better just because, you're eating less carbohydrates, it's not always the case. Even for people that, do have the high triglycerides, high blood sugar, there still is a chance that, things will get worse. So keep that in mind and make sure you're checking your numbers when you're 3 months, 6 months into it. If it's not changing, guess what? It's probably not going to. There are some tweaks you can do to still maintain the low carb, higher fat, but you have to ratchet back on the saturated fat. In my experience, that's the only way to get the numbers down or back into a normal range. And if you're doing ketogenic diet or very low carb diet, eating lots of coconut and things like this, you should have your cholesterol checked, because this is the one cause that we know of that progresses cardiovascular disease, this and inflammation, and it's very controllable. I mean, there's lots of things you can do to improve your cholesterol. So don't overlook that if you're doing ketogenic diet or thinking about doing it. So the last thing I want to talk about with regard to who should not do ketogenic diet is those that have thyroid issues, mainly hypothyroid. I did post a separate video on whether or not you can do ketogenic diet if you have hypothyroid. That goes into more detail. Basically, the gist of it is if you have hypothyroid, you have to be cautious because your conversion rate between your T4 to T3, and T3 is the more active, metabolically, energetically stimulating part of the thyroid hormone. If you have lower conversion into this, then potentially you're going to have more hypothyroid symptoms. And it's just sort of something to watch, both with labs and how your symptoms, your low thyroid symptoms are when you're doing the ketogenic diet. So hopefully that gives you a better idea of who should not do the ketogenic diet, who should be a little more cautious when they're thinking about doing the ketogenic diet, and some testing and things to watch out for if you're doing it or thinking about doing. If you like the video, please click on the like button, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.